Hi, it's Orange Girl here, and I'm here sharing my week 7 process video for Project Life. I am using the day-to-day cards from the Life Documented collection from Simple Stories. I'm just opening them for the first time here, and I love all the bright colors. This is my Valentine week, so you're probably going to see some red, and you're probably going to see some hearts. So as I'm going through, I'm just noticing that there's 2 of each card. I am loving, loving, loving those die cuts, and I see that one and grab it right up with the heart on it for that week. From the same Life Documented collection, there is another set of cards called Day-to-Day cards. You can see them. I had already opened up and pulled out week 7 since this is week 7. Also this week, abnormally for me, I'm lacking photos. I usually have extra photos that I can't fit in. So this was a little bit of a challenging week for me to create my 2-page spread. See those 2 cards, those 2 pictures look very similar. They're of my daughter, but they're on different days. But it kind of tells the story. That was really our week, was her being so unbelievably silly. So what I end up doing is I end up deciding that on the right there, I'm going to put the Valentine weekend. We had a night out, and so I decided I'm going to put everything from that weekend on there. And then on the left side, there is the other stuff, no matter what order things happened in. So that right there is a QR code. When I was at the B-52's concert, we took some video and uploaded it to YouTube and then created a QR code so I could include that in my Project Life. What you're going to see next is me going through a lot of these cards and trying to find cards that match, that fit the stories, that allow for journaling, and so on and so forth. As I go through, I find that heart card that I just laid down, and I love that one, and that kind of ends up being the colors that I pull from. You're going to see me lay out a lot more cards than what I end up using. I typically do that when I'm working from a collection like this because I just want to have my options open. So anything that I really like at first glance, I'm going to pull out and put in there. Anything that fits the stories, I'm going to pull out and put on there. And then as I go through, I'll determine which ones I want to keep and which ones I want to take out, which I'm already kind of doing. And I don't really have a photo that is going to work behind that heart frame, so I decide I want some text to go in there, so that's what I end up doing. I loved that number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 card for the B-52s because then I could just journal with what it's like. Oh, here is something that I do quite commonly, quite often. I go ahead and I'll take that 3x4 card and I'm going to grab something to cut it with, and I'm going to use that on part of a different card, kind of as the title of that. I do that a lot. Then I have that leftover green from the Oh Yeah card, and I decide I really need to use that. So I knew I needed a little bit more green on this layout, but I just couldn't figure out how to do it. I move that thing around all over. I don't think I end up using it at all. Kind of having problems with that space over there on the left because I typically have more pictures, and I mean, I almost never have a 4x6 space open. There's usually at least a square picture in there. So still messing with that green card. I actually later you'll see me go away and come back to it. I often will do that. I'll go away for a little while and come back. Oh, here I had forgotten that when I got in my last swag bag, I knew from Paper Issues, I knew that I really wanted to add all of those hearts that came with it as confetti in just a plain 3x4 space. Oh, here's another thing that I typically do. I love it when there's like the chevrons or the arrows or something like that that might go over that picture. So what I do is I go ahead and get out my cutting mat and something to cut with, which typically for me is this X-Acto knife, and I just cut around several of the sides, but not all of the sides, and now you can see how that just fits right in there. I mess around with that Oh Yeah card and end up cutting some of it off. Here we go, because I can't decide whether I want it to overlap the picture or not. Anyway, I end up finding another picture to put over there on the left side that I'd kind of forgotten that I had because it was on my husband's camera and not mine. I'm playing with the idea of using this day by day because like I said, I felt like I needed green, but then I found that green striped card, so I thought I would use that. Still messing with that piece of green. I'm struggling also with that card over there because I don't like just that card by itself. So then I put those two in there and I like that better. Okay, I left and I came back. And this time I remember that I had that card of my daughter in the bathtub. Or that picture, I'm sorry. So I went ahead and I'm ready to put some stuff down here. So I'm using my tiny attacher, I'm using adhesive, um, to go ahead. I used some washi tape at some point to just kind of get everything glued down. Sometimes I use stitching as well. And then you're going to see me, as soon as I figure out how that's going to work, you will see me go off camera again and I'm going to do some typing. This year I decided that I was going to type all or most of my journaling because I don't know, I did it the first week because I just gotten a typewriter and I was super excited. And I just like the way it looks so clean and uniform. Okay, so I'm still trying to figure out, as you can see, that top left picture of the cousins, I cannot figure out how to add the journaling there. I have the love this card that I'm super excited about using for the two pictures of her being in the backgrounds. But I cannot figure out, I try all kinds of things. I cut up this card, which I don't end up using. But I cannot figure out how I'm going to journal. So I walk away, and you're going to see you'll tell in the picture there. I walked away, and I went ahead and I typed up that B52 journaling, and now I'm going to walk away again and type up the story of her wearing the backwards clothes all week, or coat all week. I just had a really hard time figuring out how I was going to journal the cousin story that's up in the top left. I knew I needed some space to do that. It was more than just like a one word, one sentence sort of thing. And so I could have used the space on the picture, and I kind of toy with that for a while, but I end up coming back to it and changing it. So there's my typed story about her being backwards all week. Right here, you're going to see me, some of these transparent embellishments have some sort of film around the outside, and I couldn't tell if that one did or not, so I was just messing with that. It didn't. Okay, so one of the great things about being able to cover up her private parts with that card, even though we had already altered the photo so you wouldn't really see anything, is that I can use that to go ahead and also type the story. So when you flip that card up, you'll be able to see the story. So here I am trying to figure out how to get that story in. The stories are so important to me that I try to make it happen. But I ended up finding this 3x4 card that kind of matches the 4x6 on the other page. And I decided that would be perfect. I also added some flair. You can see I have 3 bits of flair on there. All 3 of those bits of flair are from a Flair for Buttons, who happens to be our sponsor this past week for our most recent issue at Paper Issues. I love her flair, so I will link her flair below, and I will actually link the 2 specific collections that those 3 buttons came from so that you can purchase them if you'd like. But what I'm doing off camera here is I'm typing up the story that goes with the 3 cousins, a picture of the 3 cousins watching TV at Grandma's while Charlie and I are out on our date night. Okay, so that's pretty much it. One thing that I do decide that I need is I need some stitching. So I will go back in and put some stitching on some of the cards. The first thing that you're going to see me do though is I'm going to go ahead and put the date on my date card. I meant to do that typing it, but once I've glued the 3x4 card on there and then I try to put it through the typewriter, it doesn't work as well, and I've ran into some mistakes sometimes when I've done that, so I've learned from those mistakes, and I decided it looks just as good to go ahead and use that StazOn ink and just stamp it with my date stamp. What you just saw there was me putting that confetti in the pocket, and now I'm off camera again, and I am stitching just the top of that pocket, and then I come back and I'll put the rest in, and so you'll see me go ahead and put in the rest of these. One of the things that I did this week that I decided to do was go ahead and put my flair on the outside of the pockets. Sometimes I do it on the inside of the pockets. It just depends. And so to do that, I go ahead and I use adhesive dots. I usually use the larger ones or medium size. The small ones you have to use a couple. So this is the back of my week 6, and I'm just going to go ahead and slide these in. That one is a little too big, and I also decided that, as you can see, I'm walking away again because I decided that those 2 cards really need to have some stitching on them for them to be complete. I'm rarely able to do any sort of a layout without putting some stitching on. Okay, for this little trick, because it's on the back side, I have to go ahead and use my X-Acto knife to cut a space in there. And then I made a mistake and I went ahead and put the card right in there, which is not what I wanted to do because I want to be able to flip the card up. So I had to take it back out and try again. Pardon my head there. Okay, so then all I did there was put some washi tape on it so that it will stick to the back side of the picture. So the washi tape is really the only thing that goes in through that slit that I cut. So there it is. I end up actually adding some more stitching, but other than that, that's pretty much what my layout ended up looking like. Like I said, thank you so much for coming. I have that one card that's going to come back, and you're going to see that one put in there with some stitching on it. But other than that, it's finished. And thank you so much for stopping by. Subscribe if you feel like you would like to see more videos, or if there's anything you would like to see, let me know in the comments below. Right there, I'm doing some more stitching. So as I leave you, I'll leave you with pictures of the final layout. Thanks for stopping by.